The city of Los Angeles, California, USA. Home to the stars and arguably the most idyllic year-round weather in the continental US. I moved here in July of 2018, and I plan to keep living and working here for at least one more year. To be honest, I don't want to stay here for much longer. After each additional year of living here, I ask myself the same thing. Why did I move to this hellhole? And why am I still here? Is it just to suffer?
Every night.
Obviously, I like Los Angeles for the most part, otherwise I probably would have left here years ago. I say hellhole with endearment. To me, Los Angeles is like the annoying friend I've had for too long. I want to get away from it, but I think I would miss it. So after living here for 4.5 years now, here are my pros and cons to living and working in Los Angeles. There are upsides to the city, of course, but there are also the downsides. So we'll start this video talking about the pros and how I viewed the city through rose-colored glasses. First, all kinds of people live here. This city is welcoming to most communities, including LGBTQ+ people, immigrants, women, people of color, etc. But if you're a Republican, you probably want to keep that to yourself. I personally don't care what your political view is, but most people here are diehard Democrats, and they're very upfront about it. Dating/social life. There are lots of opportunities to meet new people, whether it's on an app, in a bar, or at work. I can't speak too much about dating in LA because I've only dated like 2 people since I've lived here. I had my first LA date with my Airbnb host. He was cute, but we had nothing in common. I met the person I'm dating now through my previous job, and we've been together ever since. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And the friends I hang out with now, I also met through work. Beautiful climate. Los Angeles has a beautiful climate. It's one of the things that makes the city famous. It's sunny, it's warm, it doesn't rain a lot for most of the year. Aside from this year, in the past, it's usually only rained for like a handful of days in the winter. And most of the time, the coldest it gets during the day is like 60 degrees Fahrenheit. What more is there to say about it? It's lovely and convenient. The city also offers food from many cultures. Of course, the Mexican food here is delicious, and there are endless choices for Thai, Brazilian, Jewish, Chinese, Japanese, Armenian, Lebanese, Ethiopian, and everything in between. On the professional side of things, there are also many job opportunities here. Los Angeles is booming with small and large corporations, startups, well-known franchises, and many rich clients. Odds are you'll be able to find at least some kind of work here. Another thing that makes this city great is its location between the mountains, the beach, and the desert. Depending on where you are in the city and the time of day, which affects traffic, which we'll get to later, you're about 30 minutes or less from the beach, about an hour to the Los Angeles National Forest, and 3 hours from Palm Springs and Joshua Tree. All are very beautiful destinations, and I highly recommend going to them at least once. Being the hub for Hollywood and entertainment for most of the country, Los Angeles is also populated with a lot of movie theaters. You can see practically any movie you want here. One of my favorite things about Los Angeles is that there's so many independent movie theaters here that show new releases, old favorites, and cult classics. When I visited Los Angeles for the first time as an adult in 2018, I ate at Benito's Tacos and caught a midnight screening of The Shining at the New Art Theater in Santa Monica. I enjoyed damn good Mexican food and classic horror. It was a perfect night. And because this city loves film, if you're a cinephile, you'll feel like you're on a movie set just by walking around the streets here. Countless movies have been filmed all over the city for like the past 100 years, and many of the iconic locations and buildings in Los Angeles are still here for locals and tourists to enjoy.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Neighborhoods like Hollywood, West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, Santa Monica, Century City, and Venice Beach are some of the most recognizable here. Personally, I'm biased towards the west side of Los Angeles because that's where I've lived, and downtown LA scares me. When you're here, your chances of seeing or meeting a celebrity is also exponentially increased. A lot of actors, producers, writers, and directors, pretty much anyone in the film industry, live here. I used to get starstruck when I got to meet actors at my first LA job, but that feeling went away after a while. Celebrities are just other people, although they tend to look way better than everyone else in the room, and it's hard not to stare at them. Those are all my pros. And now we come to the dark side of the city. And for this, I'm going to remove my rose-colored glasses. Because now we're going to talk about the heinous reality of the city. My first con is that all kinds of people live here. Yes, this is a pro and a con. It's a double-edged sword. Although there are a lot of friendly people here, there are also just as many assholes. People who are rude or fake. Or just plain straight-up douchebags. LA is a bright, shiny city that attracts all kinds. That includes the best kinds of people and also the worst. A lot of people come here seeking fame, and some people aren't above stabbing other people in the back just to climb up the ladder. The competition is fierce and disgusting. For that reason, living here can be very stressful, and and people can be deceitful. You never know if someone genuinely wants to be your friend or if they're just trying to get favors out of you. Next is terrible traffic. It's the fucking worst, like world-class bad. Here, distance is more accurately measured in time. If you're driving just 5 miles across the city, it can take you either 15 minutes or an hour, depending on the time of day. Next, homeless people are everywhere. It's very sad. The city doesn't know what to do with them, and neither do I. The best you can do to help them is to donate your time, money, or belongings. Next, the work lifestyle is insane. I think I lost a few pounds after I moved here, not because I started eating better or working out, but just because I was working all the time. I just started eating less food less often. When I'm in work mode, I'm usually too stressed or don't have enough time to eat for most of the day. And that's the norm for a lot of careerists here. If you've ever wondered why people in Los Angeles look so fit, it's because they're either working or working out all the time. The cost of living in Los Angeles is expensive. This is probably the biggest drawback of this city, but it's the opportunity cost of living here. If you want to enjoy year-round perfect weather and the conveniences that this city has to offer, you're gonna have to pay a lot more in rent and for everything else. So those are my pros and cons of living in Los Angeles. Although I listed more pros than cons here, the cons are things that affect your life every day, whereas there may be days when you don't get to experience any of the pros. For example, most days there's great sunny weather outside, a bright clear sky, warm air, and an occasional cool breeze from the ocean. But if you're like the majority of people who live here, who have to work a full-time job to keep up with the expenses, you'll be spending most of your time inside working. Even if you work at home, you'll have to spend the majority of your time inside or in an office, and you probably won't be able to go outside until it's dark. And anytime you want to drive somewhere, you're going to have to endure the horrendous traffic. If you want to know what influenced my personal decision to live and work in Los Angeles, watch the rest of this video because we're gonna get into it, y'all. I guess it all goes back to when I was living in a humble little college town smack in the middle of Washington State. I lived there for 3 years and I loved it. But part of me always wanted to live in a big city. For most of my life, I've lived in small towns or suburbs to cities like San Diego, Houston, and Virginia Beach. I think I was heavily influenced by the romanticization of big metropolitan cities as seen in popular mainstream American media. The most popular cities being New York City and Los Angeles. I watched the entirety of Sex and the City for the first time in 2017, and I think that pushed my decision to live in a big city. God damn it, I was malleable and stupid. I was 24 years old. I hope I'm getting less stupid as I get older, but if I'm still stupid, how would I know? I'm the type of person who feels like I need to experience everything firsthand over trusting the word of someone else who may have experienced it already. It's kind of a character flaw of mine, and it may eventually lead me to my death. Anyway, I wanted to live in either New York City or Los Angeles. I figured if I'm gonna go big, I should go the biggest, or at least wherever I could get a job. Eventually, I landed a series of job interviews for the creative department at a Hollywood news outlet in Los Angeles. In the first week of July 2018, I packed up my car with everything I could take with me and started my drive from Washington to Southern California. I had even started vlogging the drive and all the scenic stops I made along the way. However, I never finished documenting the full trip, and I never even made a video about it. I have these beautiful flowers that my boss gave me on my last day of work, which was yesterday. It's now Saturday. I was planning to leave next week, like Monday or Tuesday, and just kind of take my time, you know, stop in at Crater Lake in Oregon on my way down, maybe camp for the night. I have another interview in LA with the same company I interviewed with last time I was there. And so they want me to come in again to meet their CEO and their VP of sales. I'm willing to sacrifice all the stops I had planned to make on this trip to come down there so I can meet them on Wednesday. I was planning to visit my cousin in Tahoe, visit my sister in Oakland, visit my friend in Campbell, and it was just gonna be like boom, 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 get to see people on my drive down. But I had to say fuck you to everybody because I'm on a tight schedule now. Which reminds me, I need to go, so I'll update you guys later. Bye! Forgive the terrible haircut, I've since learned to just let it grow out. I would have preferred to take my time driving 1,200 miles, but I was on a time crunch because of my new job. I needed to be in Los Angeles for one more in-person interview before I could secure the position. I know it sounds crazy to drive across the country for a job interview, but I was going to move out of Washington regardless of whether or not I got the job in LA. I was just itching for big city living, wherever it was. But I was 99% sure I was going to get the job anyway. I believe this is where my career took over my life and killed my true creative spirit. Also, I had 2 tire blowouts during the drive, and I just gave up on filming altogether. I ended up getting hired in Los Angeles, so I moved to Los Angeles. Right when I started working, I became a very busy bitch. I was settling into a new enormous city, and I had like 10 times the workload of my previous job. After starting my fast-paced creative Hollywood news job, I had no time or energy left for anything else other than work. Because that was what I was getting paid to do, to be a slave for the system. So I made the decision to quit YouTube and just focus on my career. One of my biggest life regrets so far. Because look where I am now. I should have kept making videos for all those years. Alas, for about 4 years, my channel was completely silent. I didn't delete it because maybe I always knew I would want to go back to it at some point. I even thought that after I retire from my regular job, I would start making YouTube videos again. As a 65-year-old woman. I mean, at that point in life, why not? When I'm close to the end of my natural life, I think I'll be open to doing anything. I might even try heroin.
You get old, you're crazy not to do it.
Anyway, I quit YouTube for 4 years. Meanwhile, my corporate job turned out to disappoint me. Or maybe I disappointed myself. You could say that I'm not cut out for the creative field I chose, or I just realized too late that I won't be satisfied in that line of work. From the stress and burnout of my job, I realized I have a lot to say about careers and working in general. So I revived my channel. And this is where we are today. For a childless, unmarried 30-year-old woman in Los Angeles, I think I'm doing very okay for myself. Anyway, the main point of this video is to tell you what it's like to live and work in Los Angeles from my perspective. I only know what I know. Of course, I included a section about my own work life in this video, but that's what happens on this channel. It's all about me. To be more specific about what it's like to work in Los Angeles, I don't have much more to say other than it's a true rat race out there, y'all. In nearly every profession here, you'll be facing the top tier of competition in your field, and you'll have to network with a lot of people who may or may not hire you for a job. Come prepared or prepare to fail, although it's possible you can get lucky. In conclusion, I still enjoy living in a big city like Los Angeles, but I don't see myself living here for more than 5 years. It's too expensive, and other than the proximity to the beach and the cornucopia of movie theaters, there's nothing else keeping me here that I can't enjoy somewhere else. Personally, I think I'd be happier in a smaller city with fewer people. I kinda hate people, which is ironic. Big cities are fun, but they're also anxiety-inducing. I also think you have to be rich to be able to experience the full offerings of things that cities like Los Angeles and New York City have to offer. They cater to the rich. And a lot of films and TV shows like Sex and the City are constantly glamorizing these lavish city lifestyles to audiences who probably can never afford it. I was a fool for having fallen for the romanticized big city lifestyle. Because to get there, you have to bust your ass, and it sucks. But at least now, I'll never wonder what it was like. I'm living it. And it's not important to me. If you're curious about living in Los Angeles or any unfamiliar place, I recommend taking 1 or more scout trips to visit that place before moving there. Get a taste of what you'd be getting into, and if you still like it, then by all means, come on down. If you're moving to Los Angeles, welcome to hell. I dump on LA, because the city smells like a dump. But I do like it on the west side, especially in the summer. I live where others go to for vacation. I still want to move away though. The main reason I've stayed in Los Angeles is because of my job. I have a professional obligation to stay here. However, I don't want to raise a family in the city and I don't want to retire here. Some people can make it work, but I don't want to. It's fun to live here now, but it's not my future. Let me know in the comments what you think about Los Angeles, or the city you live in, or a city you've always wanted to live in, and why. The world is full of amazing different places, and unfortunately, most of us won't be able to experience them for ourselves in our lifetime. That's why I need you to tell me about them. I'll take your word for it. Alright, that's all. Get out of here. Bye.